We think we will have the highest caliber group of MPs, certainly in my lifetime.
My kids say, Mum, you're such a moron.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people.
We think we will have the highest caliber group of MPs.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it doesn't reflect our society, and I feel that your average white person, average white family is like I agree with you, Stuart, not represented anymore in TV.
There are lots of white people on television, Sarah, are there not? There are lots of white people. There are lots of white men. There are lots of white women.
We're talking about adverts, and how many times do you look at a TV advert and you think there's not a single white person on it?
We think we will have the highest caliber group of MPs.
And actually it is. It's something that's happened because, I believe, of the woke liberality that goes on inside, this sort of like in the arty-farty world. And actually, you know what, people, I'm hearing this more and more, people notice and people will switch off.
My kids say, Mum, you're such a moron.
The filth that you just listened to there was from a Reform MP. Her name is Sarah Pochin, and she has made a series of very controversial comments since becoming a Member of Parliament. But there's a lot more here, because we've got her views, which you just heard, which are vile and disgusting, which is why I had to give you a warning at the beginning of the video. But also, there are underlying messages, there's Christian elements, there's even links to Viktor Orban. But fundamentally, this appears to be fascism using Christianity as a smokescreen, which helps gain traction in papers and also gives a wink to their base. And Phil Moorhouse from A Different Bias gives a great summary of all of this.
The pattern works. First, a provocative statement creates a media storm. Second, and all of this is planned out in advance, they know they're going to do each step in turn. Second, a carefully worded apology quiets things down while winking at the base. Third, the story is reframed away from the individual and towards a cultural problem. Fourth, the party uses all that new attention to pivot and campaign on its core issues. That lets them set the political agenda. They're not just reacting to events, they're creating events. The initial scandal is the spark that they planned from the beginning. The real goal is the fire that follows, which they can use to light up their own political project. They are political arsonists, and we are being played every single time.
And what Phil is summarising here is what I've been saying for the last couple of years and in my book, Manufactured Fear. To constantly create scapegoats and push them onto the public as if they're the cause of all of their problems. And this same tactic dates back to the Salem witch trials, to the modern era and trying to discover communists lurking in America, and to the issues we saw with Brexit and even modern social media, which we'll go into a bit more depth later. But it's creating a fear, a boogeyman, in order to get you to vote in a way that actually damages your life but benefits theirs. If you'd like to know more, my book, Manufactured Fear, is available on Amazon, link in the description. And if you want more evidence about Sarah and her spreading a manufactured fear, well, have a listen to this BBC report from her own constituency.
The Reform UK MP posted a video recently bemoaning violence and antisocial behaviour from illegal immigrants on a street in Runcorn.
The antisocial behaviour that people have to put up with, the noise levels, the violence, the rubbish strewn around the streets, early hours of the morning, the shouting, potential domestic abuse.
But when the BBC turned up in the area to interview people, it turned out it was all made up.
My dad and my brothers and sisters live at the bottom of the road here on Greenway Road. There is no trouble around here. There's no issue with crime. I've stayed in this area because I like the area. It's a lovely community space.
Grown up in Runcorn, on various estates in Runcorn, and I've always felt very lucky to live on Greenway Road.
When you hear somebody saying things like, "Oh, people are scared to go out. There's violence." The litter, the kind of antisocial behaviour, and I was like, there's absolutely none of that I've seen living on this road.
And here's what the police discovered.
The issues referenced in the video do not correlate with the incidents that have been reported to Cheshire Police or to the concerns that have been raised to officers by residents in the area.
She even managed to rile up a local Christian.
All I wanted was to have a debate with her, to say, come on, tell us why you're using this area politically, when this isn't about politics, it's about truth.
But it's their truth, and their truth doesn't stand up to logic. It's up there with flat earth theory. But also, this is a tried and tested method to gain votes by creating fear. And the apple doesn't fall far from tree, because we've seen this before with Nigel Farage saying very similar stuff and misquoting stats that don't support his opinion because his opinions are as intelligent as flat earth theory.
You've mentioned your discomfort at listening to foreign languages on a train recently.
I made the point that I got on a train and went for several stops, and there were a lot of people around me and no one spoke English. And I thought, you know, this is... I didn't say I didn't object to it. I felt slightly uncomfortable. And I think, actually, isn't that the problem? Isn't this, of all the countries in Europe, the most accepting, the most tolerant...
You said, I don't feel very comfortable in that situation. You did say you had a problem.
I didn't feel comfortable, no.
Yes. Your wife is a German speaker.
Well, my children are too, yeah.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable?
No, because they can speak English, and the whole point about
How do you know those people couldn't?
Well, maybe they could, but I got the distinct feeling that it certainly wasn't their language of choice. And if you look at the primary school situation in the East End of London, you know, where you've now got schools where a majority don't speak English, doesn't that say to us... Doesn't that say to us that what we want is a sensible, balanced immigration policy, where we want people with skills to come into Britain, but we also want integration in society.
Of course we do. And the schools you refer to, the pupils you refer to, are registered and recorded as having English as a second language. They're not registered and recorded as not being able to speak English. That's precisely that sort of...
some of both.
Well, yes, but no one's counted them, so your own children would fit into that category.
Well, hopefully, lots of people can speak different languages, but the point I'm making is, do we want to live in an integrated society?
No, forgive me. The point you're making is that schools in the East End are full of children who can't speak English. I just want you to recognise that's not true, what you just said. The children who are typified as speaking English as a second language would include your own daughters. Their mother tongue being German.
They come from homes where English is most definitely not the first language, and in too many cases is not the language at all. Now look, you know,
but no one's counted how many people are in the second category.
And it would be a very helpful and useful thing if they did, and perhaps we'd be even more surprised and even more shocked. But the argument...
Or perhaps we'd realise that most bilingual children in this country are children like yours.
And interestingly, I found a clip of former Speaker of the House, John Bercow, pulling Nigel Farage up on these tactics, except it was about Brexit.
Is to blame someone else. So it's mysterious forces. It's, if you like, a fifth or sixth estate. It's those Machiavellian types working night and day to frustrate the will of the British people or the designs of Farage. I mean, really, it is nonsense on stilts, Nigel. And to be honest, I say to you in all politeness and candour, you can do a bit better than that. Why not start by admitting, first, that people are poorer, wages are down. Foreign direct investment has slumped. Sterling has taken a permanent 10% hit. The economy has been hit to the tune of about 100 billion.
Okay, well, let's bring Nigel in.
The conspiracies, the thinking everyone's against you, that strangers mean danger. You must be scared at all times. You know, real sort of Christian values. And it's interesting because these Christian values seem to have seeped into the Reform Party.
Look, we live in a Christian nation, and we believe in redemption in a country that's founded in Christianity.
And in the clip where Sarah gleefully refers to the fact that her children call her a moron, well, there was something even in that showed a fundamentalist extremist point of view with sex before marriage.
One night, my son, my eldest son, Harry, he texted me and went, Mum, I just sat in bed with his girlfriend, a bit dodgy, but they are getting married.
And it doesn't end there, because Farage has started talking about abortion rights. He's even appointed a right-wing anti-abortion theologian as his senior advisor. It even begins to explain why this MP defected over to the Reform Party because of his views on abortion.
The fact is, I probably disagree with most members who've spoken so far about this question. They think that that women have an absolute right to bodily autonomy in this matter, whereas I think in the case of abortion, that right is qualified by the fact that another body is involved. But we can disagree on that question.
It's a fundamentalist view, which, of all ironies, they claim to be about European nationalism or white nationalism, is a religion that started off in the Middle East. And I'm going to show you even more ironies, because this is what Viktor Orban has been saying for the last decade about Hungary, the West, and Europe. And they hide behind this idea that it's all about the loss of culture. The diversity that's coming into the countries isn't a good thing. And the irony I find about a Hungarian prime minister saying about migration being a bad thing is that Hungary is founded on migration, beginning with the Hungarians who started off in Western Siberia, then moving to the Volga River, and eventually making their way down to the Roman Empire and setting up what we now know today as Hungary. And there was more migration into that area over the centuries, so it's absolutely bizarre that this nationalism has come from Hungary. It doesn't make any sense knowing their history. The whole name Hungary comes from Attila the Hun. The Huns turned up from Siberia. It's mind-blowing the lack of logic that exists within these people. Flat Earth theory on steroids. So it was really refreshing to hear MediaStorm interview Sian Norris, a journalist who's been investigating the far right's rise and their Christian links, in her book Bodies Under Siege.
Even when you look at the way in which abortion is spoken about in US politics, you can see this fascistic notion, these fascistic ideas about women's bodies and migration. So what I argue in my book is that a lot of the backlash against abortion is really linked to a far-right conspiracy theory known as the Great Replacement, which falsely argues that there is a conspiracy to replace white people in the global north through migration from the global south, and that this is all being aided by feminists who repress the white birth rate with abortion and contraception, and is all being orchestrated by, so-called cultural Marxists. And it's complete nonsense. There is absolutely no evidence of this conspiracy. The data does not bear it out for obvious reasons.
Then listen to how she describes Orban, his rhetoric, and how similar it sounds to what Reform are doing.
So I think when you look at speeches in 2017, he wouldn't use the word replacement. That's now over. He happily uses that word. He spoke about wanting to build a Christian Hungary and a Christian Europe. And again, this is a real code in terms of what do we want Hungary to look like? We want it to be white, to be Christian.
And that's no different to what Reform have been doing. It's using Christianity to subversively get in fascism.
We live in a Christian nation in a country that's founded in Christianity.
One night, my my eldest son, Harry, he texted me and went, Mum, just sat in bed with his girlfriend, a bit dodgy, but they are getting married.
Fear is their business model. They build the fear, sell the cure, and call it patriotism. But once you see the trick, it stops working. We've seen it before in America, in Hungary, and now here. If you want to go deeper into how fear is being weaponized for centuries, it's all in my book Manufactured Fear, link in the description. And if you want more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button, because sunlight is still the best disinfectant. Once again, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube subscribers. You keep this channel going and growing, and thank you to all the new ones recently. If you'd like to become one, there's also a link in the description. Once again, I'd like to say thank you and bye for now.